Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we are asking the question, can you fall in love with anyone? And believe it or not, in the gay community, this is a bit of a controversial question because if you can fall in love with anyone, why don't you just date a girl? And so this question is interesting. It has a lot of different levels. So we're going to attempt to talk about them in a 10-minute YouTube video and see how far we get. So I think first of all, there are different kinds of love. So obviously there's like a familial love, like the love between a mother and their child or two brothers or whatever. So there's that kind of love. And then there's like, I don't know, would you classify like the love of a pet, like your dog or your cat differently? For me, like I love my dogs as much as I love my family. Like they are part of the family. So I don't know if you would like classify it as different. I think it depends on the person. I think some people just love their pet like a pet, and that's totally fine. But I think other people have like a deep familial love for their animals. And so it's probably a little bit different, obviously, but there's that kind of love. I think there's like the love that you have for like your best friend or your best friends in general. Like that like connection, like you would ride or die, you'd take a bullet for these people. So I think there's that kind of love. Obviously, there's romantic love, like loving a person so much that you want to spend the rest of your life with them, you want to have kids with them, you want to travel the world with them, you want to, do everything with them. And then I think this is where it gets a little controversial because then there's like physical attraction or that kind of like, that lust love. And I don't know if you'd call that love. I think a lot of people wouldn't call it love. They would call it something different, but it is in that same kind of category because it's like looking at somebody you find incredibly attractive and you're just like, oh my God, and your whole body reacts to it. I think that is like, obviously it's not in the same category as the other loves that we just talked about, but it's clearly like on the table there somewhere. And so like this question kind of like the reason it like makes me think of this is because for a long time I really thought that I was like pansexual or whatever, where it was like you become physically attracted to people that you have a personal relationship with. And I found this out because I had some like long-term friends, boys and girls, that I like ended up getting like really intense crushes on because I like got to know them. I learned about like their past difficulties, who they are as people, how they, take care of their friends and family, how they see the world. And I kind of like fell for them that way. And I was like, oh man, like I am like super attracted to this person in like every way that like a person is supposed to be attracted to another person that they want to marry. And it was really confusing because it was like gender didn't really matter. It was like, oh, it doesn't matter that you're a girl or it doesn't matter that you're a boy. I'm obsessed with you. And so like, I don't know, it's like, it's difficult, but it raises the question of, can you fall in love with anybody? And you always hear about stories of like somebody who's like, oh yeah, like I was always, I always dated girls and I always like fell in love with girls. And then I met this boy and like, oh, and you often see this in film and television, specifically a lot of gay narrated stories where the main character is gay, and then he falls for a boy and this boy is straight. And it's like, oh, this is such a, it's never going to happen, nothing. And then the other boy, gets out of a relationship with his girlfriend or whatever and realizes that the main character, the gay boy, is the love of his life. And so you see this a lot where, it's like a gay awakening or it's like realizing that they're bisexual, realizing all this stuff. But it makes me wonder about, the idea of getting rid of like labels in general, like just completely doing away with gay, straight, all of those things. And just saying like, oh, I fall in love with like people, like somebody really impresses me. They're really attractive to me. And, they tick a few of these boxes and suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this person. that's kind of how I view love. And I think I've viewed love like this for a while now. I know it's not for everybody. I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, nope, I'm only attracted to dudes. Nope, I'm only attracted to girls. And that's totally fine. But I think you would be surprised at how many people have had an encounter or had experiences where they've met somebody who doesn't fit their like stereotypical like sexual attraction. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I am so into this person and it's ridiculous because they don't fit the category or the label that I am. And I think this is largely where you get those people who are like, I don't like labels, man. I don't subscribe to labels. I don't do that. I'm just a human being. This is where these people kind of like have a point, I guess, because in all reality, if you're going to say that sexuality is like a spectrum and we all fall somewhere here, that means that like you can move on the spectrum, you know, like I don't really believe that you're like a static point on the scale of 1 to 10 of like if you're like super gay or like super straight. I don't think there's like a scale that works that way. I think it's all a spectrum and it's all degrees, and that over time you can like slightly move or you can like vastly move. And like I said, like sometimes people wake up at like 25 or 40 or 80 and go, oh my gosh, I think I'm gay. I think I'm bisexual. I think I'm really attracted to this person that I didn't think I would ever be attracted to. And so it makes me wonder if it is possible to fall in love with anybody. And I know that like for me personally, there are groups of people out there that I'm just like, no, like I'm not going to be attracted to this person. Like I just, you know, like, but it makes me wonder if I met this person and, you know, like if I met this person and we became really good friends and then, you know, what would happen there? Like, is there a possibility? Like, is there a universe in like a parallel universe that, you know, we're together and we have children or we travel the world together or we, you know, live on the farm or whatever? It makes me wonder about that because I know so many couples that you meet them and you're just like, how do you two work? You know, you're totally different people and yet you're like madly, madly in love with each other. And it just seems like you two would not get along at all, you know, like a city boy and a country girl, or, you know, there's just certain people that I look at and they have such strong and beautiful relationships. And I would never guess that those two people would have been compatible. And then on the reverse side, I have friends that I've known for 15 years who end up with people I totally didn't expect. You know, I have friends that I grew up with who were straighter than straight, always dated girls, always were super like talking to me all about like, oh, these girls are so hot. And they're now gay and they're now this and they're now that. And like it is really interesting. I think we have a very low level understanding of what love is and like the ability to have this like chemical reaction in our brain that makes us just obsessed with another person. I think we don't understand that at all. I think there's a lot of nuance to it. There's obviously a lot of chemistry. There's a lot of like right time, right place kind of thing, like circumstance, proximity, living close to somebody. There are so many little factors that determine who you fall in love with, who you have chemistry with, the vibes are right. Maybe you have shared trauma. Maybe you have like something that happened in both of your childhoods and you're like, oh my God, this person really sees me for who I am because they've been through something similar. And reverse, maybe this person hasn't been through what I've been through, but they make me feel like I'm safe, that it'll never happen again, that they're there for me. And so there are just what I'm basically trying to say is there are an infinite number of possibilities, permutations, occurrences, invisible strings, if you know what invisible string theory is. There are so many little nuances and particularities, if that's a word, when it comes to falling in love, starting a relationship, just, you know, looking at somebody. There's like romanticizing someone, like you can romanticize someone and just be like, oh my gosh, they're amazing. And then you build them up into this thing in your head and then like you're hooked, you know, you're just like, oh, I'm so screwed. Like this image of this person in my head has just got me absolutely obsessed. So basically what I'm trying to say is that there are so many little nuances and particularities that I think in the right situation, you really could fall in love with anybody. And I don't really know what you do with this information. I don't know, like, you know, like I've come up with this theory and I have no idea how it applies to human beings, but maybe it does come to this point where it's just, okay, let's stop subscribing to these like very hardline labels and being like, oh, he's gay, oh, she's lesbian, oh, they're straight. And maybe it just becomes a point of like, wow, this person connected with this other person and they love each other, and that's awesome. And no one else should have like an opinion on it. Nobody else should be legislating or trying to control what two consenting adults want to do, which I think is like hopefully where we're going in Western society, thankfully. Obviously there's a lot of work to be done, but I just think it's kind of interesting, you know, like you're never quite sure of yourself. We're all developing, we're all in situ and processing. Like you're never like a static thing. Like I said, you're never just one point on a spectrum. You're kind of this like evolving thing that changes every single day. And I think to like put yourself in a category and then never think about it again. I mean, if it works for you, great. If it makes you feel good and you don't look back on your life and go, man, I wish I had dated that girl in high school, then great. Like if it doesn't cause regret, then absolutely. If it's working for you, if it's broke, don't fix it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But I think it is a little short-sighted to just put yourself in a category and then say, that's it. Nope. I never have to explore. I never have to do any work or processing, or I never have to think about it again. That's it. I think that's just a little short-sighted because I don't know. I'm kind of leaning to that whole idea of I think you can fall in love with anybody in the right situation, in the right time. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. I would love to hear yours. What do you think? Can anybody fall in love with anybody? I don't know. That was my ankle cracking. Sorry. I was just at the gym. Don't mind me. Okay, so thank you guys for listening. Like I said, I'm curious about your thoughts. I'm kind of leaning to this new idea. I'm thinking about it. Like, I think you can fall in love with anybody. But who knows? Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe I know nothing. I do know nothing. I know that. I know that much. I know enough to know I know nothing. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you're having an amazing day, week, month, year, whatever you're having. I hope it's amazing. And as always, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.